Welcome back to the Everyday Same podcast. It's Catholic communicator Rosemary. And as someone who graduated now, finally, a year ago this week, I wanted to make a video all about what life is like after graduation because honestly, I remember when I was going through life after graduating college and I was like, why is there like nothing out there on how to navigate life after graduation? But as I was talking to so many other people who were going through post-grad life, everyone was talking about how difficult life after graduation was and that they didn't know what to do. And so if you're feeling that way right now too, I've come up with 10 practical pieces of advice, tips and tricks, things that I've learned along the way in the last year after graduating from college. Number one, routines and daily habits are critical to your life. It's really easy to look at life and look at the big, lofty goals of things that you want to accomplish. But really, our life is made up of like the day in and day out moments. And so the things that you're prioritizing during your day really do matter. So thinking about the routines that you want to set for yourself, trying to get yourself into a good routine as well. Sometimes life can feel really mundane, but if you have a couple things that you're always looking forward to and kind of things that like give you a sense of purpose, that can be really helpful as you navigate the craziness of life elsewhere, right? If like you can stick to a good routine and daily habits when curveballs get thrown your way, because they probably will, they probably will after graduating college, like life will probably be kind of crazy. Having things that you can always go back to and structure is really, really important. Number two, you're going to feel lost. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't want to like bash on post-grad life too because there's a lot of joy, but like this is a video of like advice, right? So honestly, anyone I've talked to has mentioned how lost they feel after graduating college. I know for me, like if you've listened, like it's kind of funny to look back actually on my podcasts from a year ago because at the time there was so much else I was dealing with. I was going through a breakup after graduating and then was trying to figure out like all of a sudden the whole world was opened up to me again. I could dream again and I could do things again. And now, like a year later, like seeing how beautiful life has become because of those things. But in the moment, I was like navigating so much life change. And that's what post-grad life is. Like, this is the first time that you're really responsible for yourself. Like, in college, you're still under the umbrella of your parents, or, you have like RAs who are checking up on you and making sure you don't get into too much trouble. And it's like, what authority do we have now? Like, police? Like, there is like no level of authority. Maybe our bosses at work. But like, other than that, there's no one like keeping tabs on you all the time. And obviously, I'm sure your family cares, your friends are keeping tabs, but it's just really easy to feel lost. And I just want to encourage you that it does get better. Like, it just takes time, but you'll go through a phase where you feel really lost. You don't quite know what life is supposed to be. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing, but it does get better. It really does. It really does get better. Number three, this one tacks on to the last one. Everything takes longer than we think it will. Everything takes longer than we think it will. Making friends will probably take longer. Getting acquainted in your new lifestyle is probably going to take longer than you think it is. Have grace with yourself. Know that things are going to take a long time to build. Sometimes we like forget that because think about it. Up to this point, our life has been basically measured in like 4-year increments, like 4 years of high school, 4 years of college. We have like these really set times in our life that it's really easy to chunk those times all together, like a whole high school experience, a whole college experience. And we actually forget how long it took to really form the strong friendships that you're walking away with after college. We forget how long it took us to actually get the degree. Like 4 years of studying is a long time to like work towards accomplishing something. And so when we graduate, we want things to happen. We want to feel a sense of accomplishment. We want to have those deep friendships like we had in college. And we forget just how long that actually did take for us to get to that point. So know that things are going to take a long time. Keep showing up for things too. Like I know especially so much of post-grad life is figuring out relationships, and you just don't see people as frequently as you normally would like in college. Like you'll just like see someone walking around campus. That really doesn't happen in like life after college. So my encouragement to you in knowing that things take time is just to keep showing up to events. Whether that event is something you particularly enjoy or not, or whether the activity that you're involved in or like get invited to, whether it's something that like you're super jazzed about or not, keep showing up to the events, because I think by showing your face, that will help people have like facial recognition for the future events. So you have to play the long game in a lot of these relationships, like to keep showing up. And maybe you don't meet someone at that specific event that you go to, but because you saw that person and they saw you at some point, maybe then in a thing that you do in the future, they'll remember your face and then strike up a conversation or something, and boom, now you're making more friends. So you have to play the long game, know that it takes time. Number 4, don't stress if what you're doing right now is not your dream. I don't know who told this to me. I don't know who told this to us, because I've talked to other people who feel the same way. But when you graduate college, it seems like you should have your dream job. Like you should be doing what you've studied for the last 4 years. And that is not always the case. Most of the time, in fact, you're probably going to enter into a job that works for the moment, but maybe isn't what like the dream is. So know that like life will not look like the dream when it comes to your career and the deck of hands you've been held in all aspects of your life. It's probably not the dream, but there is still so much to be grateful for and still so much to learn in that. Like your early 20s is the biggest learning curve, I feel like. I mean, I don't know. I'm 22. I don't know what I'm saying, like giving this advice, but I feel like it's such a learning curve because you're learning about yourself. You're learning about like how to live on your own. So know that if what you're doing right now is not the dream, that's okay. Like I know so many people who just took a job because they needed a job. It didn't matter what it was. They just needed the job. Or they had a job, like they interned somewhere and they were promised this like great job when they graduated and something fell through. So know that you're not alone. If those things have happened to you and now you're like stuck in a job that you're not that excited about, that's okay, because also the fact is that your job is not your fulfillment. That's not where you're going to find the greatest fulfillment. There's so many other things that you can get involved in. And honestly, I know a lot of people that have found really creative paths for themselves because their job was so boring. Like, I know someone who has like a super successful social media career and is now working for their dream company because they were so bored in their job that they started doing like videos just for fun. Honestly, at the end of the day, if what you're doing is paying your rent and giving you the capacity that you can then, go out to dinner with your friends later and have those relationships, or it gives you the capacity to fly home and see your family, like, you know what? Maybe that's okay for the time being. Maybe it's fine. Just right now, what you have to focus on is like, what do you need for the next year of your life? Okay, this is my little sub point. I didn't write this one down, but this is actually really important. All you need to know is the next step. All you need to know is what life should look like for the next year. You don't have to know like where you want to move so that you can raise a family. You don't have to know what job you need for the rest of your life. You just need to know what, like you sign a lease for a year, you sign the contract for a year. All you need to know is what life will look like a little bit for the next year. Don't need to put so much pressure on yourself or anything else. Just need to know what the next year holds. Number 5. This one is like probably the most important one. Go to the sacraments like your life depends on it. Go to Mass like your life depends on it, because it literally does, okay? If you are looking at your life and there's so much confusion, you have all these big questions, you are not going to find the answer to those questions by getting involved in more things. You're not going to find them by going out and adventuring and traveling the world. Maybe you'll find some things, you'll reveal some things about yourself, but at the heart, if you want the answer to life's big questions of how will you feel fulfilled, who are you, what is the purpose of why you're even here in the first place, you need to go to adoration. You need to sit before the face of God and ask Him. Boom. Like, especially because sometimes life can feel really mundane, especially when you get into like the 9-to-5 world, and maybe again that job is not as fulfilling as you thought it was going to be. By going to Mass or going to adoration every single day, if you can, then you can guarantee that every single time that you have a day that you went to Mass, that you went to adoration, you have done something so meaningful that day. There's nothing else. There is nothing else. That is like a pivotal anchor in your life to have that. Not only that, not only is it like phenomenal for your self-reflection, for guidance in life, for knowing what to do next, for, I don't know, maybe just talking with the Lord who loves you very dearly. Maybe that's like, source and summit of our life. But also, I think that by putting yourself in those situations, like I know for me in college, I found so many friends by going to daily Mass. Like I looked at who was going to daily Mass and then tried to make friends with those people like as we were walking out the door or something. So practically speaking, it's also a great way to meet people. I don't know about you, I'm not always extroverted in that way. But again, by continuing to show up at Mass, I feel like I recognize faces a lot better, and that I would be like, I feel so much more comfortable now maybe starting a conversation with that person than I did the first couple times I went to Mass infrequently at that parish. So it's practical, but also the best thing that you could ever do. And speaking of placing ourselves in proximity to God, I have a pilgrimage opportunity that I don't think you want to miss out on. JP2 Project Theology of the Body Adult Pilgrimage is this July 11th through the 20th. And on this pilgrimage, you'll be able to walk in the footsteps of St. John Paul II while discovering the places where he prayed, studied, and served. Throughout the pilgrimage, you'll also be able to dive deeply into St. John Paul II's theology of the body, which is really learning about the glory of who we are as human beings, human dignity. It's a really also practical piece, very applicable to the way that we interact with others today. It also can sometimes be a difficult thing to read through. So on this pilgrimage, you'll be able to walk through dedicated sessions led by Father Zach, who is the chaplain at Princeton University. Throughout this pilgrimage, you'll explore the mystery of the human person and God's plan for love, marriage, and sexuality, and encounter the rich spiritual, historical, and cultural treasures of Poland with other young adults, including the message of divine mercy, St. Faustina, St. Maximilian Kolbe, and much more. I'd encourage you to register soon because spaces are limited. So if you are interested in going on this pilgrimage, I'm leaving the links in the description below, and you should definitely check out the JP2 Project Theology of the Body Young Adult Pilgrimage. Point number 6 when it comes to living life post-grad. I don't know about you, but for me, when I graduated, all of my friends went all over the country. And so that's made it really difficult when all of a sudden we went from literally living like 2 floors away from each other to now living many, many, many states away from one another. The key to this, voice memos are game changers. Game changers, I tell you. Because texting is like kind of annoying. We all know that we don't really like it. You also don't feel as connected to your friends when you are texting back and forth. Calling's the best. We know that. Okay? Calling is the best when you can like talk on the phone with a long distance friend. However, sometimes it's not always the easiest to get your friends on the phone frequently, especially as you are like having so many things going on in your life after post-grad. It's really difficult to like sometimes keep up with those friendships and make the time to like sit down and talk to someone for a couple hours. Like that can be difficult to do. Voice memos are the perfect in between. I will leave like 20-minute long voice memos for my friends and they'll do the same. And then it's like I can listen to it when it's most convenient for me to listen to it. So like I will be in the car on my way to work or something and listening to a voice memo from a friend. The perfect way to hear their voice, to really feel like you're more connected to them versus just texting. But also it's just like fun to listen to your friends and then talk back with them. It's like you guys have your own personal podcast. So if you have some long distance friends, get into voice memoing because I feel like it's the most convenient. You get the most out of it. And then also, obviously, call your friends. But it's definitely a good middle ground when you guys are busy. Number 7, when you are looking for housing after graduating, get roommates. Get roommates. Okay? I am telling you, I think it can be really lonely after college when, just in general, it can be lonely. But if you have roommates, at least you feel some sort of community, again, you're also only signing a lease for a year. So you only need to figure out people who are normal enough to live with for a year. Sometimes there's also Facebook groups. Like when I was moving to DC, I found a Facebook group called DC Catholics Looking for Roommates. So maybe if you're moving somewhere, look for a similar Facebook group and find some good Catholic roommates. They'll also be able to maybe introduce you to people. You'll meet more people that way. It also is really helpful. It's really humbling to have roommates because you learn how you're supposed to live, right? Like if you're doing something wrong, you're like, have you ever realized when you live with someone, you realize how many things people refrigerate that you don't refrigerate, or like vice versa? I don't know if it was like balsamic vinegar or something that one of my roommates was refrigerating, and I was like, I have never refrigerated that. I don't know that it needs to be refrigerated. But she does. And so, needless to say, you just learn how to live with other people who have different, like, little quirks and habits than you do. And it also can be really helpful. Like, I've heard stories of people who didn't know that they were supposed to change, like, the lint thing out of the dryer after they dried their clothes. So imagine if they would have lived by themselves for their whole lives. Their lint things would have been awful. like those would have been so full. And they would have never known what to do about it. But if they have roommates who are helping to guide them, being like, hey guys, can we like empty out the lint thing after we dry our clothes? They'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing to do. So I'm just saying, it's really like helpful, but humbling, but necessary. Necessary in order to learn how to live life better and just live with a good community. Number 8, this one has been huge. This is like graduating is the last time that you will transition in life, that you will all transition in life at the exact same time. From here on out, everyone else is going to be transitioning into big life roles at completely different spots, like completely different times of life. People are getting married at different times. People are having children at different times. People are graduating, or not graduating, but maybe like finding a new job, moving to a new city, all at different times, usually not all together. For example, right now I had a friend who had a baby in March. I am going to Shelby's wedding this month, who's getting married, so 2 of my college friends. I have another college friend who's moving home for the summer because she's a Focus missionary. I have another friend that I met here who's getting married in July. So it's like, and I'm traveling to Austria at the end of the month. Like, it is just completely different life. Like, and those are all people who are in like the same age that I am, right? So you can see here, it's just like completely different areas of life, completely different phases of life, yet we still all maintain that friendship, but know that no one's going to transition at the same time that you will ever again. And that's okay. Just to be like really gracious with, you're not always going to understand where someone is at in life. Like my friend who just had a baby, like I can't resonate with her. I can imagine what she's going through. I can have a lot of grace for what she's going through, but I can't exactly know what she's going through until I go through it myself. So just being able to be there for your friends is really, really important, and having the grace to understand that they're probably going through something that we can't resonate with at the moment, and that's okay. Number 9, recognize the difficulty of what you're going through, the big steps that you're taking, and have grace with yourself. Have grace. So much grace. So much grace for yourself, okay? I am telling you this because it's really easy to get frustrated with yourself and frustrated that you're not as far along as you thought you were going to be, or this aspect of your life doesn't look like how you thought it was going to. Have grace with yourself. Also know that you're probably not alone in those feelings. Like, be open and honest with your friends. Be open and honest with God. You can tell, like, God wants to know that you're struggling. God wants to be there with you. He gets it. You think that man didn't know what it was like to be tired? Like, I read something that blew my mind. At least the way that St. Teresa of Avila phrased this blew my mind. She was talking about, like, the path of life. And obviously, like, the path of life is the path of the cross, right? Like, if we want to know how to live our life, we have to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. To get to heaven is to pick up our cross too and walk with Jesus. But the way Teresa of Avila phrases is like, if you don't do that, you're actually lost. Like, the only way forward is the cross, and any other way you're going to end up lost. Like, I just picture this big forest, and there's just like one trail that's like indented from the cross being dragged in the ground, and just like cross after cross being dragged in the ground as people follow Jesus and follow Jesus. Any other way than walking with Jesus in your suffering, you will end up lost. And so know, like, it's going to be hard. Things will be difficult. Things will be confusing. But we can walk with the Lord in it and have grace for ourselves and also put ourselves in proximity to God. When you feel lost, it makes you so aware of how much you need the Lord. That was one of the biggest lessons. It was like suffering makes me so aware of my proximity to God and actually how much I need Him and how little I am. Like, it's such a humbling experience to be like, I have no other choice but to trust in you, Lord, right now. I have no other choice. There's nothing else I can do but trust in you because I don't know the answer to anything else. And that's a good spot to be in. As terrifying as it is, it's a good spot to be in, to know that the Lord will walk with us, that He will guide us, and that He'll be with us in all of it. So we can put ourselves near Him, even when you don't know what to say, when you don't know what to feel. Just to sit there. Like, it's okay to not say anything. Just to sit there, to be with Him, to be close to His love. And if that seems intimidating to you, ask yourself for the desire to be near to Him. Ask yourself. Ask the Lord. That's what I meant to say. Ask the Lord for Him to increase your desire to love Him more, to be nearer to Him. And He will help you get there. Like, you can pray for that. You can pray for His grace and His structure and stability when life feels kind of crazy. Number 10, last but not least, God is detail oriented. Pay attention to the little things in your life. So much of the answers that I've gotten after graduating college was simply paying attention to the little details of my life. What did I really enjoy doing when I was a little girl? Okay, the really minute details. What did I love? What are the little things that I'm really loving right now? Like, how is God speaking to me in these little things? I say He's detail oriented because there's like a reason for every single thing in our life. There's a reason for every single quality in our life. And so to go before God and like ask Him to reveal those little things to us, to recognize the little compliments that people give you as like kind of like a sense of direction. In some ways, not to, and I want to clarify, like, that doesn't mean look to other people for validation, but there was so much I learned about myself through the perspective of other people. So, for example, I was talking with someone and they said something like, oh, Eve, like, I love when I talk with you, I feel like I can just like start opening up right away. Or like they said something along those lines. And it's like, oh, like I didn't really recognize that quality in myself, but if that's true, that makes a lot of sense for my life, and that's something that I should really focus on in my friendships, is of being the friend that can listen really well, if that's already a strength that God has given me. So I mean it in that way, like pay attention to just the little things of your life, because there's a reason that God has given you these details of your life. And so if we pay more attention to it, it helps lead us closer to where God wants us to go. I also think about like the stories of the saints. There's probably so many little things that they were known for that they're like now patron saints of, details of their story that they never would have imagined. And so there's probably things in your life too that your stories all coming together, and these will be like the stories that your kids and grandkids will tell, and people like look to you specifically for advice in. Or for me, that's been a lot of like health things. Like I've met some friends that have been diagnosed with certain things similar to maybe some of the medical stuff that the rabbit holes I've gone down with medical issues in the past, and they've turned to me for help and advice because of the things that I've been through. So know that God is detail oriented, that there's a reason for everything. As I know, cliche and basic as that sounds, sometimes it's just really good to be reminded of it. And that's all 10 pieces of advice I have for now. Again, this doesn't come from me knowing all the answers, but really from just living this life with all of you, and I'm so grateful for it. Also, speaking of post-grad life, as you know, I am a Catholic speaker full-time. This is what I do for work, is that I get to make content and also then speak to middle school and high school students all about chastity, relationships, dating, authentic love, pure love, really important messages that they don't hear from the culture. I want to go in, see them face to face as a 22-year-old and share the message of God's love with all of them. So if you know any principals, school teachers, catechists, CCD teachers, anyone who's doing a retreat or a conference. I am still booking for the 2026 to 2027 school year to go and talk to teens. So please pass on the information in the bio and description below that has all of the links to that. I'd love to be put in touch with anyone that you know and then be able to talk to their teens all about the mercy of the Lord. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.